First question, what is your job at the Science Center?
Well, I'm a volunteer. I mean, it's not really a job. I took the Master Gardener class, which is a fabulous class with UNH. I graduated in 2013. And you have to have a project. And my project was ripping out invasive species all over the lake area.
Yeah. The next question is, what is the definition of an invasive plant species?
It's anything that's not indigenous to the area. So, for instance, the loosestrife. That loosestrife came over in the ballasts of ships because they would take on dirt to help the ship, and then they would dump it. And a lot of the other invasives that came over from Asia were brought over for plant shows, and that's how they wound up here. So they're not indigenous to the United States.
What would happen if invasive species were left alone?
Well, if you live here locally, all you have to do is drive along Tenny Mountain Highway, and what they do is they choke out all the native plants, and that would be very sad. So this is barberry. If you notice, it's got spines on it. As it grows, in there it's not getting enough light, so it's not a really solid bush. But it usually has a very dense set of leaves. In the fall, it gets berries. The mice go up to get the berries. The ticks fall off of them, and they have found that in an acre of land where there's more than 5 barberry bushes, there's 10 times more ticks, because the canopy of the plant makes the perfect humidity for the ticks, and the tick carriers, deer don't browse this, mice do. It's a perfect place for them to hop off. So this is another one. The best way to identify it is the shape of the leaf and the fact that it has those nasty spines on it. In the fall, you can see little tiny red berries that have one stone, one seed in the middle.
How do invasive plant species affect native ones?
They choke them. Generally, for instance, with the bittersweet, you saw how that wrapped around the cambium of the tree, cuts into the food supply, covers the canopy. They have released like a chemical into the soil so that, competing plants are going to die. There's a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Honeysuckle, and oh my gosh, everybody loves the way they smell, and they do smell, and they have beautiful flowers. But everybody's like, what? How do I know if honeysuckle is invasive? So this is what you do. You can get up here. You want to cut a stem that's a reasonable size. I don't want to cut too much because it's big. Okay. Even without my glasses, can you see the pith? What does it look like? What does the very center of the plant look like?
Straw.
It looks, it's hollow.
Yeah.
And that's how you know it's an invasive. If it had pith, which means if it had like a spongy core, then you would know it was a native. So the thing is that these are sort of taking over it. The problem with invasives, and this is probably the one thing I should have started with. Some of them are pretty, some of them are exotic, but what they're doing is they're spreading. They have no natural pests because most of them came from Asia. So they have no natural pests here, no controls that are going to keep them back. And they're choking out the natives. Like, we happened to do a lot of work over by the chipmunk section, and Carol found a native, I think it was a honeysuckle, right?
Yeah.
But it was covered. So now that native has a chance to survive. So actually, this is a really good section. I suspect this is another honeysuckle here.
Yeah.
It's hollow. So, and there's 5 different invasives, so it's very easy to find some. So what I generally do, since there's a lot of bittersweet here, what I generally try to do is we want to get some gloves. And what we do is I start to pull it from the base, and this one's not going to come very well because it's in there pretty good. But I would pull it from the base, and then as it starts to come up, I go down for it. I don't pull it from here because it will snap. So I pull it as far down as I can. Make sure that the stem is orange, because that's how we know that it's bittersweet.
And last question. How do you think climate change affects invasive plant species?
Well, for instance, ticks. I grew up around here in the summer, and we would be out in the grass and never had a problem. Even my dog didn't even get ticks. And because it's getting warmer, they can survive the winters. And it's the same thing with the plants. The winters are not as harsh, and we're getting plants that were only like the kudzu, that were only down south are starting to move north.